TYT Sports, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, Michael Schur. So a surprise raid by the DEA on 6 NFL teams.
Yeah.
Because non-qualified, legally qualified medical professionals may be prescribing drugs that only qualified medical professionals should be. Toradol is the drug in question. A surprise raid by the DEA, catching a lot of teams off guard. Here's what the DEA was looking for. They were looking.
Well, there's never a scheduled raid.
Yeah. Well, the schedule, they usually don't tell the raidee.
Yeah, and the raidee doesn't know about it. But
honey, why are you going to work so early? We're getting raided at 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to make sure everything's in order.
Yeah. It's so that and this was the 49ers. Bob Lang, who is their head of communication for the 49ers, said this was a random test. Oh, really?
Yeah, that's right. I like it that you could prepare for your sort of raid face.
Yeah.
What's this?
Wait, such a surprise.
All right, fair point. It was a unscheduled raid.
Yeah.
Here's what the DEA was looking for. The DEA was looking for any unmarked prescription bottles or team employees in possession of drugs they did not have the authority to prescribe. Continuing under the Controlled Substances Act, only licensed physicians and nurse practitioners are allowed to dispense prescription drugs, and they can only do so in their geographic area, needlessly in quotes, which is why the federal agents targeted traveling NFL teams. That's from Deadspin. It suggests an effort by the DEA. This is obviously, they know what they're doing when you raid 6 traveling NFL teams.
Yeah, and the other thing, there's a case going on in San Francisco in that superior court where they are talking about whether or not team physicians have the ability to do that as well, because these are controlled substances and there's too much abuse by NFL players. So what the NFL is trying to do is say, hey, listen, we're not responsible, because team physicians, they're individual teams physicians. They have nothing to do with the NFL. That is under right now under review by that court, and that's an interesting part of the case. It's once again the NFL saying, nah, you guys, that's your problem. It's not it's not a league problem. It's a team problem.
Yeah, good luck on that regard to the NFL. The investigation stems from a lawsuit filed May. 600 former players. This is from Deadspin, claiming NFL doctors and trainers illegally handed out the prescription painkillers like candy, the ones named, Percocet, Ambien, shots of Toradol, all, as we know, to get players who are in pain, not feeling pain, feeling, as the article says here in Deadspin, numb enough to be able to remain on the field. It dovetails with another story out. The Washington Post published a survey where a number of NFL players responded to playing games while hurt. More than half say they played through pain to satisfy coaches and because they want to. That was split equally. Roughly 7 in 10 players who have retired since 2000 say they took the pain drug Toradol. That's one of the drugs that the DEA is interested in, maybe primarily, with most saying they used it regularly to ward off pain that they anticipated during football games. So interestingly, some guys taking it before the injury happened, just to be able to handle the painful hits that are coming. Put that graphic back up. Let's take a look at some of the questions they asked in this survey of NFL players. How often at all did you play in games while hurt? Frequently, 56, so 88% played while hurt. Yeah. Right? Was it mainly because you wanted to play, or because the coaches wanted you to play, basically wanted to play wins, or the coaches, or it's about even? But
I was surprised by the candidness of that answer, because it's easy to blame the coaches for that, but they know that it's, these guys are athletes and they want to go in and play.
Look at the question below that. That is a telling question right there. Yeah. Looking back, do you wish you had played through pain more often, less often, or do you think it was about right? So half less often, and the others are willing right now to say yes. And of course, these are players who've retired from 2000. I suspect if you move that back to 1990, the number who are less often is going to go up, because they're going to start feeling debilitating injuries at ages where you should be okay.
Right. And more often, you have to presume that people who said more often have had just too many injuries at this point.
Yeah, it's 3. It's an insignificant. It's 3.
I mean,
right.
Who are those guys?
Who are those guys? Yeah, but it does suggest that the pressure doesn't just come from coaches; it comes from themselves and from other players. Let's look at the back half of the questions on the right side of that form there too. At the time, did you feel you had a choice in the matter? That's some staggering numbers there. 68 to 13 did not have a choice. Did you ever take pain medication known as Toradol from team doctors or not? Among players who retired after 200, 7 and 10, only 1 and 4 before, what did I say, 200? They didn't have football in the year 200. No. Players who retired in 2000, 70%. Those who retired between 90 and 99, 26%. So obviously the use of that drug has gone up significantly. And then of those players who took Toradol, did you take it before games with help with the pain you expected to feel during the games? That's amazing to me, that better than half saying they took it to ward off an injury.
Right, and unsure 1%.
Unsure 1%.
They're not sure.
Just don't do the survey. Right.
Don't participate, exactly.
Yeah. Hey, like, I have a couple questions about the presidential race. Sure, great, thanks, no problem. I got plenty of time. Who do you plan on voting for? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. What's your next question? Why are you taking the survey?
Why are you taking the survey? Yeah. I don't know.
I don't understand that. The NFL has real serious problems.
Yeah.
They have image problems with domestic violence, with the child abuse cases, and now they have a drug issue that is really born out of the issue that started this downward spiral, which was the concussion issue.
Yeah.
So the injury issue.
The NFL should be like college. You should only be able to play for 4 years. You can redshirt. You can only be able to play 4 years. You're not going to be as injured. College players are still going to come out.
That's a totally interesting thing. I think, that's like 5 years, maybe
5 years. Yeah,
5
cap
years.
it.
Cap it at 5 years, then you're done. 27, Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
Great, nice job.
Right.
You're done.
Yeah.
Great turn.
Right.
Kickers can play till 30.
Right. Remember 11 years ago when Tom Brady retired?
That's a great idea. Anyway, and you're getting serious books published about how football is by former football fans and people who love football, that it's a disaster and it's dangerous and it's bad for America. This is a big giant. This is the most powerful sports league in the world, and sports leagues are pretty powerful in the world. So if any league can fight this off, it's the NFL. But the other leagues don't have to deal with this problems. The NBA players don't have this. Hockey players, which is probably the sport in physicality closest to football,
probably
they don't have close to this problem.
The highest number of concussions are from soccer, by the way.
Is that right?
Yeah, soccer has the most concussions. I learned that this week.
More than football?
More than football, more than hockey.
Really?
Yeah.
Staggering piece of news. And baseball doesn't have this issue. They all have other issues, but they don't have this issue. So anyway, that's that survey worth reading in detail, and that's the story.
Was that USA Today or Washington Post?
Washington Post.
Washington Post, okay.
So the survey worth reading in detail in the Washington Post, and the story obviously worth following.
I like to call it Washington's newspaper.
Well, what about the Times?
Well, that's true.